Good Monday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks and SUVs, motorcycles, the dogs, and hey, look at the pond. Wow, it is iced over. Man almighty, ice skating time, right? Possible. Just subsiding. Yeah, it's possible. It's been pretty cold, but it's just to warm up. But hey, good morning there for everybody watching my channel. Good Monday morning, and what a beautiful Monday morning it is as we get the week going here in the third week of January, as the first month of the year is going to pass us just like it always does so quickly. And just look at this scenery here, huh? It's just a pretty time of year, actually. Snow's not too deep, which that's kind of nice, so it's manageable. When you have these big snows, that just really takes a lot out of you. So, as always, it's the Monday morning conversations. Keep the channel going. Keep the stories going, the adventures going. Watching my channel, you'll see that I've got a Triumph hat on. And I actually have a Triumph shirt on below. And if you're watching my channel, you'll be like, yeah, because you freaking went out and bought your first vehicle. Well, I have, but I haven't. I haven't signed official paperwork. They haven't officially gotten the bike put together for me. I haven't officially given another thing. I haven't told anybody what I'm doing. So for those who watch my channel, they're probably intrigued to go, okay, so you're getting a Triumph Tiger adventure bike. What's that all about? Like, you're the adventure bike guy? Right. And what are you giving up? Challenge is, it's in the trailer. Challenge is, all the snow, how the heck am I going to make this all work? But I got till Thursday or Friday to try to make it work, because the panners, the side cases, top case on that Tiger isn't due in until later this week, so I don't think it'll be ready till Thursday or Friday anyways, but who knows? We'll see how it all plays out. Where'd the dogs go? Hey, puppy, stay around here. Come on in. Still kind of fighting the cold and the cough, and wife's actually gotten pretty sick, but not too bad. Come on, puppies. Hey, Ginger, Scout, Keever, come on. So it's always a challenge getting dogs in. It's really cold out though. I mean, it is cold. And this area up here I talk about all the time. It just doesn't really stay cold for a long time frame typically, but we're seeing a little difference this year in that. And there's the Bronco Wild Track, which, wow, that thing is just so much fun. I drove that thing 250 miles on Sunday. I drove about 150 miles on Saturday, and I just love that vehicle. What's the odds of this? I got up yesterday morning. I had to get an early start because I had to be waiting in Bel Air, Maryland, and my kid takes the vehicle. Well, I put all my gear and equipment and tools to work out of this. Come on, pups. And my daughter's gone to the gym on Sunday morning, early in the morning. Now I'm calling her like, what are you doing? It's like, I need the freaking vehicle. But think about this. Anybody here watching my channel, like, you got to be kidding me. You're stuck and you can't go to work? Yeah, because I put all my tools and equipment in that vehicle right there that I don't have in every other vehicle. So I was like, yeah, my gosh, what a joke. But we made it all work. And the kid was a little disappointed because she had to cut her workout a little soon. But why? Watching the football games, even though I've got mixed feelings on football anymore. I have mixed feelings on all professional sports anymore because all damn woke crap that these damn leagues play with. So the one thing I should do is I should get upstairs here and turn my heater on because it's so cold that by the time I get upstairs, I'll be warm. And to stay out here too long, I don't know. Come on, Ginger. Come on, baby. Come on. Get up here. Come on. So, get up here, get the heat going, and but the heat's actually on because of the freezing point. Let me turn it on here so I'm more in tune. And let the girl just stay up here for a while so Keeper's not beating her up, which that's a good thing, right? So yeah, so adventurous weekend. Come on, pups. Come on, Scout, with the Tiger purchase. You know, I just really like the Triumph product. And actually the Tiger, I should say the Triumph product, intrigued me to make today's conversation about bankruptcy. Yeah. Today's theme is bankruptcy. And I just thought to myself, because I was reading about the origins of Triumph, and I've never been a real Triumph follower, but I read about who they are, where they came from, And it's interesting to read the history of Triumph. It's the same story as every other motorcycle manufacturer in the early 1900s. Most of them were all bicycle dealers or manufacturers. And so I read about that. But what intrigued me to bring up the bankruptcy was it's incredible if you look around in this country of what the love and passion of all of our vehicles, cars, trucks, motorcycles, and every one of them has gone bankrupt for the most part, the domestic side and the foreign side as well. I mean, you all know that in 2008, 2009, the bankruptcy crisis forced Dodge. Back then, it was under the George Nardelli, former CEO of Home Depot, Cerebus. I mean, I'll never forget when Cerebus bought out, I guess it was Chrysler Automotive Group. And I thought to myself, you guys are done. Because this guy, George Nardelli, is the former CEO of Home Depot that ran it into the ground. Former military guy. I think that's his name. I'm going off the tip of my tongue. But he was a former GE guy under Jack Welch. And he thought he'd be the replacement of Jack Welch when Jack Welch stepped aside, retired. And if you're a big business person, you'll know Jack Welch was known to take GE and make tons of money and very successful. And so Nardelli was thinking he'd be second in line to take that position. They didn't give it to him, so he got irritated and he went to Home Depot. Home Depot gave him the reins of the operation, and he ran it into the ground because he turned it into the military-style ordering. I've talked about this before on my channel, but anybody's new. He took the in-house ordering away from all the Home Depots. So in the good old days, if you remember the win of the Home Depot business was when you go in there, most employees there, a plumbing department, it was usually a plumber guy. The hardware department was a hardware guy. The flooring department was a flooring guy. So the concrete department was a concrete guy. So you went in there, you really got professional advice from people that were knowledgeable, that were in the industry, and that each Home Depot had its own control of what its market needed for product and inventory. And when Nardelli came in, this guy decides to do the in-house control of central ordering and takes away all this capability of these local Home Depots. And if you're very abreast to back in the 2000 years, you saw a change of Home Depot's inventory and a change in personnel is because Nardelli chased everybody away because of his military type of tactics of wanting to control all the stores through one central operation and tell them how to run each store. And people didn't like that and left. So Home Depot really went through a lousy time here for a while. And I know that because I'm in business where I go to these stores and use them. So the point of that conversation is he was borderline kicked out of Home Depot. He goes to this investment company called Cerebus. And I'm not lying to you. In 2008, 2007, I think they bought him out in like 2006 or 7. I went around to my personal friends that I knew at these Dodge dealerships, and I said, you're done. They're like, what do you mean we're done? I'm like, this idiot just took over your company. He'll run it in the ground. I can guarantee you he'll run it in the ground. And so, in Daimler Chrysler was the company prior to that. So if you're really abreast of the Dodge product, you go back to the 90s. I mean, Dodge, Chrysler's always had financial challenges. If you know the Lee Iacocca story, if you know the K-Car story. So Dodge and Chrysler have always been in financial turmoil, and you have to wonder if the unions have contributed to that. But point is, back in the late 90s, Daimler, basically the German side of Mercedes-Benz, they bought out Chrysler, and they revamped the product line. It was a great thing because all of a sudden, in the late 90s, early 2000 years, you were getting some really quality built products because they were German engineered and being German platform shared. So when you go to the mid 2000 years, Daimler just really got sick of Dodge. It wasn't making the money they want, and they booted them. And a company called Cerebus, a financial investment company, bought that whole operation, which I knew right there that was a huge mistake. It was a total loss for the Dodge brand. And if you're really astute to the Dodge product, you would see the dashboards, interiors, on how it had that German flair of that Mercedes-Benz type of styling, the transmission. A lot of things are being shared, which is really cool. But now Ceribus takes it over. And as I said, I drove around, and of each one of my dealers I knew personally, I would tell them, I think you're done. So you go to 2008, 9, the housing market crash, financial collapse, and sure enough, there's good old Ceribus in dire straits, and they're forced at the hand of the Obama administration right after George Bush left office and handed Obama the dire straits, as they would say, as a Democratic person, that George Bush ruined it. Even though you can talk about the no loan documents to buy houses. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's a lot to that. I don't even have enough time to even talk about that in great length at this moment this morning. But that financial crisis was due to the lack of banking, oversight of how they lent money to people to be able to buy houses and how many houses you could buy, and create a whole financial havoc of the housing market. So you go to 2009 and 10, the Obama administration forces Dodge and General Motors into bankruptcy. And I remember this very well. I was going through my own bankruptcy. 2008, I was part of that financial crisis because if you watch my channel, you know that I owned a lawn and garden equipment dealership that I just had opened up in the spring of 2007. And by 2008, the lights had turned off and I was out of money and had no choice but to go through a bankruptcy on a business side, then eventually a personal side. So I've been through all that bankruptcy stuff. So for GM and Dodge, they were forced to hand to downsize their dealer network. They were forced to hand to get rid of brands. The Obama administration was more the green agenda. And here's Elon Musk. This is the true beginnings of Elon Musk. And they want to get rid of the Hummer division, which they did. That was mandated by General Motors. Just keep in mind, the government took control of Chrysler, Dodge, and General Motors. So they're at the mercy of the government telling them what they can or can't do. And meanwhile, Ford gets creative, and Ford goes to the government for updating their factories, selling real estate. So in some ways, Ford, some will say on my channel, that Ford went through a bankruptcy as well. But it wasn't structured that way. But yes, Ford was forced to hand to borrow money from the government, but they categorized it a little different way. And some of you on my channel can kind of clarify that more if you want. But the whole point is we've got the three major domestic brands that all have gone bankrupt. And for Chrysler and Dodge, they've gone bankrupt numerous times. And so you go back to that 2009 and 10 era, I can still remember when General Motors being told they couldn't build Corvettes anymore. Yes, General Motors engineers, Corvette engineers, were idled, and they had to borderline beg the Obama administration to keep that brand going. The Hummer got kicked to the curb. But during all that time, most people won't know because they're just not the car motorhead of a guy like me that's constantly in our car dealerships that knows so many different people and dealers, that when Dodge was bankrupted, the government forced Dodge to downsize their network, their dealer infrastructure. They had way too many dealers. So I had personal friends that owned profitable Dodge dealerships. And keep in mind, back in the day, there were many dealerships that were just Dodge only. And they just had Jeep only, or just Chrysler only. So back in the day, you didn't have all the Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram under one roof. A lot of dealerships were just Dodge, Ram. Then you'd have another dealership up the street, it was just Jeep, maybe Chrysler. So the Obama administration forced all these smaller dealers in the area to close up shop. And for a guy named Harry Criswell, that owns Criswell Automotive Group, I felt for these guys that I knew personally. There were so many local small dealers that couldn't play the game because what happened is when the Chrysler whole revamp of the whole product line and brand, the prerequisite was if you want to be a new Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Chrysler dealer, you had to be an Alfa Romeo dealer as well. And that was such murky waters that started going on. So basically, if you were a guy that had a Dodge dealership and you wanted to retain it, you're being told by the Obama administration, you're going to have to build a brand new facility that's going to be Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, and Fiat, along with your Dodge product, and the Alfa Romeo has to be a standalone product. Well, why did that happen? Well, it's because the the Italians, the Fiat Automotive Group, came in and offered to buy out the government and the union eventually, which that's a whole other story, during that whole bankruptcy time in 2010. So in my area, you saw tons of small Dodge dealerships, Jeep dealerships. They all were closed up. And then you saw the big guys had the money get the whole group of cars under one roof. So it did good things, it did bad things. Good things it did, it cut down too many dealerships. The good thing it did, it took all the brand of Chrysler Automotive Group, Jeep, Ram, Dodge into one dealership. So you had all the brands at one location. The bad was a lot of people that had a lot of money invested and were doing very well without even the dire straits of times. They still were selling cars and they were still doing automotive repair, but they were forced to give up their franchise because the company went through bankruptcy. So all the laws and all the rules were erased. That's what happens in bankruptcy. When you go through a bankruptcy, you don't have to abide by anything you signed once you're cleared through the courts of any obligations, of agreements, and that's why the government was able to take all these dealerships away from the Dodge product. General Motors did the same thing. General Motors got rid of Pontiac. If you remember the good old Pontiac, I saw Pontiac as a cool brand. I liked Pontiacs. I had Pontiacs. My dad had a Pontiac. But that was part of the agreement. The Saturn line was closed down. So it was Cadillac, GMC, Chevrolet, Buick were the standing brands. But once again, the Obama administration forced a hand to get rid of all these dealerships. So they downsized the network because they felt like it would make it so dealerships could be more profitable, even though many dealerships were profitable. But once again, the big guys, they won out because they could outmaneuver and outhandle these small guys that couldn't afford to update their facilities and then take on more product and more dynamics. Meanwhile, Ford in the back end is getting through all this, challenging, but they're supposedly updating their factories to be more green and blah, 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 and this and that. And somebody have a little more information on that, that's great. So you look around, what I own, all the cars I own, Dodge, Ford, Jeep, all these Ram, all these companies have all, in so many ways, they definitely have gone bankrupt. Ford is more debatable on that. But then you go to the motorcycles, and that's what I say. Triumph is what intrigued me to bring up this conversation to start the week off of bankruptcy, is because if you look at my motorcycles, here's an Indian. Well, if you know the Indian brand, Indian went bankrupt back like in the mid-50s. If you come back here to the Harley brand, we know the Harley-Davidson family sold out to AMF, which was a bowling manufacturer, if I remember right. And eventually they went bankrupt, and the Harley-Davidson family brought them back out of bankruptcy or something like that. So for Harley-Davidson, for Indian, the domestic side, those brands have gone bankrupt. Unbeknownst to me, Triumph went to bankrupt in 1983, and a very astute, well-to-do businessman, real estate guy bought the Triumph product back in 1983 to revamp it. And we realize it or not, right now Triumph is on the British tour. So right now they're calling it the British 20 tour or something like that, where they're traveling around the country from January through February, showing off all of their brand new 2024 Triumph products. If anybody's interested in that, go to Triumph's website and you'll see they'll be maybe in your town this month, or you may already missed it, or next month, and you can go see the big reveal of all their different motorcycles they're bringing around to each town. Here it's in Baltimore, in a dead heat of Baltimore. I'm like, yeah, it's between 7 and 10 o'clock at night. If you watch my video, you go to parts of Baltimore anymore. Yeah. I don't know if I'd be up there at that time of night. But anyways, I was hoping they'd go to like an exclusive dealer. They should have picked each region's top dealer to be the big reveal in the daytime. That'd have been so much more of a better thing, and probably in the nicer, warmer months. Why they're doing it in January, February, I don't know. It's those British people. What can you say, right? So once again, it's the Triumph product that brought this conversation. And I just think to myself, wow, it's incredible on how we literally live in a society today of all these brands that just really, the motorheads, we're all motorheads watching my channel, and the love of what we have and own and the passion that we want to have and own and do have all been through financial hardships. And why is that? You have to say to yourself, I mean, I'm sure in so many ways people be like, yeah, the Iceman's the next guy to go bankrupt. Yeah, right. I mean, this is very, very expensive. I mean, this is extremely expensive to have this type of lifestyle. It's very challenging. Yeah. If my business went the wrong direction, could I be in dire straits? Absolutely, I could. I've been through this. I've been through it a few times in my life. I've just about lost this property years ago. I mean, it's very challenging. So for me, being a motorhead, you have no idea what I sacrifice, what I do, just to own this stuff. So it's very, that's why I think it's a great conversation, because I think somebody here can look around and just say to themselves, where is this country going? I mean, sincerely, where are we? My hands are freezing. I got to get upstairs. I mean, my right hand is done. After walking around this cold air and sharing with you all the artwork here, and get upstairs, and sounds like Kiefer trying to get this dog to behave better, and he seems to be kind of coming around somewhat as he's getting a little older and becomes part of the pack, and leaves my little girl alone. Let's look what I got here. And then the other dog's like, not so much. What I got here is pretty cool. Well, my daughter put this up here, but she did that. So what I got here, I'm just kind of trying to show you right here. Look at this artwork that I got. How about that? I want to paint the background gold, like my Gold Rush Challenger, and then cut it out so it looks like it's gold. How about that idea? For the art system out of Europe or something. I'm not really even sure. Let me, I'm going to still be coughing. Yeah. Yeah. So the hacking and coughing going, and it's that time of the year. You know that story for everybody. Oh my gosh. So it's the football guys. What do they get? Where are we with football? We got what? Got Chiefs survived, Lions survived. I guess you got what, the 49ers now, and the Ravens down. So it's going to be the Ravens. I can't even keep track how many. I just don't go into it. So is it the Ravens versus the Chiefs, or Ravens versus the Lions? So I'm just not into. I mean, I like football, but I don't get hell bent on it like some people do. My chair is so far down. So anyways, you look around. I mean, I am stumped. I really am. I am truly stumped where this country is. I can't believe how incredible last year was for the stock market. But it's all the technology side. The technology side is on fire because of artificial intelligence. And I spent all last year talking in great depth of this generative free train transformer, the Elon Musk, the Scott Altman, the Bill Gates, the OpenAI, the Grok, the ChatGPT. I mean, I spent so much time not realizing I should have bought stock in all these semiconductor companies like Nvidia that have exploded in their stock values, and how people have made so much money. People probably made 20, 30% return on their stocks. But the whole point is, I am just stumped at how expensive this economy is for housing, for cars, for fuel. I mean, energy sure has come down, but ever since this guy Joe Biden's gotten in office, I am just blown away on how everything is so much more expensive. And, there's just isn't, you're not really hearing of anything in the major media news about how the dire circumstances are here. I mean, you hear it through the YouTuber guys, but I've heard this for 3 years. I've heard for Dan, the man out of California, for over 3 years, telling me that it's over beyond it's over, and it's really bad, and blah, 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 and sell everything, and blah, blah, blah. And if you think about it, if you're the guy that sold all your stocks, you're probably a fool. You should have kept your stocks, because we went from like a 28 Dow back to a 38, a 10K difference in stocks. And I mean, wow, right? S&P 500. Not for me. I am just stumped that none of, I mean, once again, you hear the story, well, it's now it's happening. Now it's happening. I guess it is. Look at Ron DeSantis. Did he go broke? He did. I mean, did Chris Christie go broke? He did. I mean, did Vivek go broke? He didn't go broke, but now you have Haley and Trump are the last two standing candidates, And you just have to believe that it'll be Trump. It ain't going to be Haley. Can't see that playing out. So when is she going to finally raise her hand and say she's out? Because I don't think there's anything there for her. But the point is, for Joe Biden, I mean, in so many ways, I say this all the time. If you're the green agenda activist, you want this guy to continue to be in power. If you're the big manufacturers, I mean, I was talking to my good friend John down there at Motorcycles of Dulles on Saturdays. We negotiated that deal to get that Tiger, and I gave something up, and he gave me a lot of money for it. So the reality is, he actually called his rep to know what I have, and then he hung up the phone and was like, all right, I'll give you that type of money for your bike. And I'm like, all right. And that's going on. And the other thing is, too, here's the thing, the big Harley Davidson reveal, we'll kind of go back to all the Joe Biden rhetoric, but here's something, if you're watching all the videos out there, the 2024 reveal on the Harley Davidson, I preached it all year long when I got my Harley CVO, that the next generation cruiser bikes are going to be the CVO body line. It is. So for the most part, on Thursday, the big reveal will come, but here it is, the Street Glide, Road Glide, they're going to be the CVO style bike. Well, not with 121, the 117. And they're going to bring a CVO Road Glide ST. They're going to bring a Pan America CVO, which that's one thing. A lot of people out there, one guy out there on my channel is constantly bugging me to get a Pan Am. Which in some of the ways, yeah, I mean, maybe I do get a Pan Am. Not right now, though. I really want the Triumph. Really kind of want the two Triumphs. This is kind of who I am. I kind of like to have the relationships of having two the same bikes, same brands. It's just whatever it is about me. Kind of like that. I just like the Tiger brand. I like the Triumph brand. I just really like what they have. So, anyways, the Harley Davidson big reveal. Well, with that, my selling dealer kind of gave me inside information. Not a lot, but basically, apparently Indian's got something going on. Indian has new models coming, but that probably won't be released till later, maybe this spring or early summer. But the 2025 Indians are going to be new models. So that's something that I was like, wow. And that's the reason he had to call his rep, kind of giving you a little inside information on what I'm talking about. You probably start to figure it out. And that's why, like, you know what? I can get really good money in something right now. It's the dead of winter. And even he was like, this is hard for me to stroke you this big check. But you've got something that I think my rep's telling me is very valuable. And I'll give you the money for it, and then I'll give you a great deal on the Tiger, which he did. So I really got a great deal. And if you point by and say, year after year, it's the right time. Even though on Saturday, he did 3 deals. On a Saturday of lousy weather, Friday they were closed. So going back to Joe Biden, my selling dealer, he's like, it doesn't matter really who's in office. He's like, my business just doesn't really change. And I was like, yeah, I mean, to the degree I agree with you because of this era we live in. But under Biden right now, there's so many businesses. That's what I was telling my friend. I said, if you look around, this has been the most profitable time ever for the big automotive, the big motorcycle industry, the big boat industry, the big RV. I know things have changed, but during the pandemic, the record profits that these companies made, and that's the whole thing. Joe Biden's position is big business is bad, but yet under him, big business has made more money, bigger profits than ever seen in modern times. I know my voice is pretty bad. My apologies. It's the morning time. It's this ongoing cold that I'm trying to beat, which I'm beating it somewhat, right? Or maybe not. So the point of that is, why are people going to want to get rid of Joe Biden when they're getting away with the biggest profits ever? When they're getting away with the biggest price increases ever? Why? I mean, why would people start changing? Now, yes, immigration, that's a huge problem. Right? It's a huge problem. But big business runs the agenda. I mean, sincerely, big business. I mean, people know this or watch my channel. It's the big guys that are funding these guys to win the election or not win the election. And the agendas of green agenda is huge profits. The Inflation Reduction Act is handing out close to $1 trillion, $850 billion close to $1 trillion in monies to businesses to set up shop here, where it's free money for them to get going, his green agenda. So if Donald Trump steps in, what's going to happen? He's going to shut this stuff down to a degree, not probably all of it, but if you're a business owner or a big business, you're going to look at Donald Trump. This is a mistake. That's why all these other foreign countries are worried about Donald Trump, is they feel like he's going to take away the green agenda progress. So anyways, I'm going to keep the videos shorter. Plus, my freaking voice sounds terrible. It's not a joke. It just doesn't end. And these colder months, and plus I worked all weekend. I just keep on going. I never sit down. I just never sit down. I just keep going. Yeah, so just sit down, right? So the bankruptcy, and that's why I brought up bankruptcy this morning. Wouldn't it just seem like this country is just on the verge of total collapse for all the debt that everybody's taken on? And I know the repossessions supposedly are up through the roof. Okay. I mean, you just have to say to yourself, when does it all just come crashing down? And for the most part, it isn't. So all these gloomer doobers, guys, they're all continue to preach the rhetoric, and it's like they're all just wishing that they can be right for their YouTube channel. That everything comes to a crashing end. But there's no on the world economic outlook of just total dire collapse and just everything going to the ground. That's not the predictions. I mean, it's more about they think we're going to continue to get through this, and in some ways they may start lowering the interest rates again from the Fed. So yeah, who the heck knows? But once again, where we are in this country, the amount of money that's being handed out, and the amount of money we're leveraging to other countries. I mean, Ukraine, the illegal immigration. Oh my gosh. So does anybody think this country truly eventually will go bankrupt? I mean, sincerely, I don't think it will. I just think it's just too dirty. It won't happen. Now the cryptocurrency, if you're a person that held on to your cryptocurrency, you've doubled your money. I mean, it's all over the place. So in all reality, the economic times for so many have been so great. I mean, is 2024 the year of the true dire straits? I just love to hear other people's opinions. If anybody really thinks that the big bubble is truly going to get ready to burst, and it's happening, but you just don't let the mainstream media to talk about it. So anyways, that's it. Let it at that. I'm going to call it a day. And yeah, what am I doing? Well, I already told you. Yeah, am I getting the Indian? I always say Indian because it's an Indian dealership. It's an Indian Triumph dealership. So I always reference the Indian dealership, which is a Triumph dealership, which is a BMW dealership, blah, 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 blah. But now I have guys bugging me to get the Pan Am CVO. I'm like, yeah, great. Now I'll change my mind and go buy a Pan Am CVO. They're not even available yet. So stay tuned. What am I doing today? I got to go to work. I got to go drive over the world again in the cold and everything else, work out in the cold. So as always, appreciate everybody's support and share the channel and blah, blah, blah. And there you go. And what's tomorrow's conversations? Now, we started with bankruptcy today. So how do I keep that conversation going through the week, right? That's challenging. That's always a challenge, to bring content and information to you, which hopefully helps you. And that's what I was going to do, actually, before I do cut it off. I was going to share with you that Triumph was started by a young man, Sigrid Bettman, who immigrated from Nuremberg, part of the German Empire, to Coventry, England in 1883. At age 24, Bettman had founded his own company, the S. Bettman & Co. Import-Export Agency in London. Bettman's original products were bicycles, which the company bought and then sold under its own name. Bettman also distributed sewing machines imported from Germany. In 1886, Bettman sought a more specific name, and the company became known as the Triumph Cycle Company. A year later, the company was registered as the New Triumph Company Limited, now with funding from the Dunlop Pneumatic Tire Company. Isn't that interesting? During that year, another native of Nuremberg, Moritz Schult, joined the company as a partner. Schult encouraged Bettman to transform Triumph into a manufacturing company, and in 1888, Bettman purchased a site in Coventry using money led by his and Schulte's families. The company began producing the first Triumph brand of bicycles in 1889. In 1896, Triumph also opened a bicycle factory in Nuremberg. In 1898, Triumph decided to extend production at Coventry to include motorcycles, and by 1902, the company had produced its first motorcycle, a bicycle fitted with a Belgian Minerva engine. In 1903, after selling more than 500 motorcycles, Triumph began motorcycle production at the Nuremberg factory. So it's all that 1901, 1902, 1903 beginnings of the motorcycle. But once again, it was a bicycle company. So isn't that something? But it was in 1983, that I believe is when they filed bankruptcy. And they were brought out of bankruptcy by a very wealthy British individual. But I think they went broke back like in the 30s or the 40s or something like that. Let's just kind of looking through here. Great. Well, yes, they were sold, and then they were merged, and back in 1957. So anyways, just thought, once again, it's just interesting for the love and passion that we all have. All these companies all these manufacturers have gone broke, but they've come back to be bigger and better, right? I think they have. They really have. All right, that's it. Thanks again. God bless. Stay safe.